Good morning, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now. Coming to you from our digital desk, we're going to be taking you live into the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. This is going to be for the first appearance of two of the three individuals who are charged in connection with the death of that 3-year-old little boy last Thursday in a daytime, what appears to be a drive-by shooting. That 3-year-old little boy was sitting in a car when a man outside of that car was shot, and then that 3-year-old was also shot inside the car. He would go on to die. This happened on West 66th and Barberton last Thursday. Charged so far in this is 34-year-old Juan Davis Jr. He's facing a charge of aggravated murder, and then 30-year-old Katherine Treadway facing a charge of murder. There is a third individual who has been has an arrest warrant out. Devontae Parker, a 28-year-old. Devontae Parker may have had some sort of role in this, and we're going to listen into court here just to see if we can gauge where we are in this. It looks like this will be a video arraignment from the jail, from the Cuyahoga County Sheriff and the jail. So we'll see that, and it looks like we're getting close to starting. But before we do that, just to refresh your memory in this case, we're going to show you a story that ran the day of the actual shooting and the death of that 3-year-old little boy, Luis Diaz, who was killed in all of this. Here's the story filed by our Michelle Nix. Take a look.
I don't have much. Just it was a drive-by.
Ambulance is leaving with the child. Not looking good.
A series of gunshots ring out shortly after 2 in the afternoon outside of a home on West 66th and Barberton on the city's west side. When the shooting stops, a 3-year-old boy is hit. His father also struck by gunfire. Deputy Chief Allie Pillow with Cleveland Police.
The juvenile victim was inside of a vehicle with his mom and his 11-month-old brother. The adult male was standing outside of that vehicle at 3588, having a conversation when they heard gunshots ring out and they were struck.
A neighbor with bloodstains on her pants and tears in her eyes grabbed the baby from the mother and attempted life-saving measures. The woman asked not to be identified, and her voice altered for her own safety.
As I was walking back to my door, she started yelling her baby been shot. I told her to give me the baby, and I started giving him CPR.
But it was too late. The baby died. The street was blocked to traffic as an active crime scene for hours as detectives and crime scene investigators gathered evidence. At least 13 evidence markers were visible, possibly an indication of the number of shots fired, along with other clues.
Our partners with HCF are here assisting us. We have persons of interest detained, and we are looking to identify some additional persons of interest.
Michelle Nix, 19 News.
And now live back into court here in the Court of Common Pleas in downtown, where we expect to see for the first time Juan Davis Jr., 34-year-old man, being charged with aggravated murder. Then 30-year-old Katherine Treadway facing a charge of murder. A little bit of a delay here. You're going to listen in. It looks, again, this appears to be a video arraignment. The courtroom actually had to be cleared for a time. This arraignment was supposed to take place at 8:30, and just before 9 o'clock, the bailiff came in and cleared the courtroom. We're waiting to get word as to exactly why that happened. Was it a routine sweep, or did they have some information that there might be an issue? So we will wait to hear more on that. But again, this is a story that we've been talking about since last Thursday. Surely you had heard this. This was the Stockyard neighborhood, West 66th and Barberton. That's approximately where this took place. It was 2:20 in the afternoon, so think about that. That's broad daylight last Thursday, 2:20 in the afternoon, the 3500 block of West 66th Street. Now, because these arraignments are generally very, very quick, that's why we bring them to you live, and we start early, and we have a little bit of a delay here, but the arraignments themselves can take less than a minute, maybe less than 2 minutes. It is just a chance for the suspects here, Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway, to literally be present. The charge is read in court. Generally, there will be a quick request of a bond. The judge will set or not set a bond for the individuals, and that will be the extent of it. It looks like we're maybe having some technical issues in the court. They're having to reset one of the monitors. So let's just listen in here now as we wait for the first appearance of the individuals, 2 of the 3 that are accused of having some role in that shooting that killed that 3-year-old little boy last week in the Stockyard neighborhood.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Okay. We good. Okay.
All right.
So when we come up in your case, just call me.
Thanks,
Just
thanks.
what you'd like to do. Okay, either way is fine. If you want to come back and see
Hey,
which case is moving forward. So it's
You said can you just turn the camera? You said can you just turn the camera off?
if you want to waive your preliminary hearing, because the state's
You don't wanna do that?
indict your case or not.
No, it's not video.
Huh?
Yes, it's not video, I guess.
No, I don't do it. Just put it on me. You done talking? I think. Yeah, he's done. Counsel, you done talking to your client?
Again, Dan DeRosa with Channel 19 here. It looks like we're having a little bit of a delay in court. This happens especially when we're doing video arraignments. Technology not always the most reliable as we wait for the judge and the arraignments. Again, if you're just joining us, this is all connected to last Thursday's daytime shooting in the Cleveland Stockyard neighborhood, more specifically about West 66th and Barberton. You had a little boy, just 3 years of age, in a car with his mother and an 11-month-old child. So think about, while this is a tragedy that Luis Diaz, 3 years old, died, this could have been even worse. You had an 11-month-old in the car, you had the mother in the car, and the child's father was standing outside the car when what looks like and is being described by the police as a drive-by shooting. That drive-by then took the life of that 3-year-old. You saw the police announce very quickly that afternoon that they had people of interest in connection with this arrested, and now we have, for the first time, we're expecting the arraignment of both Juan Davis Jr., 34 years old, and a 30-year-old Katherine Treadway. Juan Davis is facing a charge of aggravated murder. Treadway is facing a charge of murder. What the exact connection is, who pulled the trigger, we may not get that answer today. But there are times that you will have maybe the state, the prosecutor's office may read a very brief synopsis of what happened last Thursday so that the judge has information when it comes to setting a bond, when it comes to the initial reading of the charges. Looks like we have a little bit more time here, so in case you're just joining us and you're watching this on social media, I'm going to play the story that our Michelle Nix ran that day, which includes an interview with a woman who claims she tried to save the life of 3-year-old Luis Diaz that day. And we'll have more as soon as we see them, even if we're in the middle of this story. If we see the arraignment about to take place, we will come to that because, again, they are very quick. Each of these arraignments expected to last just 2 minutes or maybe even less. But so for now, let's take a look at the story filed from our Michelle Nix just last Thursday.
I don't have much. Just it was a drive-by.
Ambulance is leaving with the child. Not looking good.
A series of gunshots ring out shortly after 2 in the afternoon outside of a home on West 66th and Barberton on the city's west side. When the shooting stops, a 3-year-old boy is hit. His father also struck by gunfire. Deputy Chief Allie Pillow with Cleveland Police.
The juvenile victim was inside of a vehicle with his mom and his 11-month-old brother. The adult male was standing outside of that vehicle at 3588, having a conversation when they heard gunshots ring out and they were struck.
A neighbor with bloodstains on her pants and tears in her eyes grabbed the baby from the mother and attempted life-saving measures. The woman asked not to be identified and her voice altered for her own safety.
As I was walking back to my door, she started yelling her baby been shot. I told her to give me the baby, and I started giving him CPR.
But it was too late. The baby died. The street was blocked to traffic as an active crime scene for hours as detectives and crime scene investigators gathered evidence. At least 13 evidence markers were visible, possibly an indication of the number of shots fired, along with other clues.
Our partners with ATF are here assisting us. We have persons of interest detained, and we are looking to identify some additional persons of interest.
Michelle Nix, 19 News.
And now live back into the courtroom where we expect to see those persons of interest, according to the police there, as you heard Sergeant Pillow, Assistant Pillow, talk about the crime itself. Just taking a listen in here. As we are just a little bit early, waiting for the judge, waiting for the video arraignment of 34-year-old Juan Davis Jr. and 30-year-old Katherine Treadway. Juan Davis Jr. facing a charge of aggravated murder, Treadway facing a charge of murder. And again, these are very quick arraignments. The judge will list out the charges and a bail will be set. In this as we wait. We're just going to take a listen in here as we wait for the judge. While we are waiting for this, there is a third person in this case yet to be taken into custody. The police haven't issued an arrest warrant for a 28-year-old Devontae Parker on a charge of aggravated murder. In this case, he is also facing a murder charge from a May of 2023, so this year, earlier this year, yet another case involving this. So anyone who knows Devontae Parker, anyone who may have information on his whereabouts, clearly this is an individual now facing charges in 2 separate murder cases. This is an individual police need off the street and into a courtroom. Again, we're waiting for the first appearance of both Juan Davis Jr. facing a charge of aggravated murder and 30-year-old Katherine Treadway facing a charge of murder. This stems from the Thursday afternoon shooting just last week on West 66th and Barberton, what appears to be a drive-by shooting. You had the mother, the 3-year-old boy in the car, as well as an 11-month-old boy in the car when the shots started with that drive-by. The father was hit. He survived the shooting with non-life-threatening injuries. But unfortunately, the 3-year-old little boy, Luis Diaz, who was in the car, was also hit and did not survive. That is the sad part of this story and really the dangerous side of this issue when bullets are fired. They know no names. They don't know the direction. And a 3-year-old little boy lost his life because of this. And when you think about the fact that he had his 11-month-old brother in the car with him, as well as his mother, you can see where this was just an extremely, extremely dangerous situation. Let's take a listen into court, see if we're getting a little bit closer here.
Kevin, I want you to just pass up 15.
Misdemeanor.
Yeah. That's right, that's why I introduced myself. There were a couple of things. We stand for jury trials, right? Theirs is coming back for jury trials. There's one of the cases.
For those of you just joining our live feed here, we are expecting the first appearance of 2 individuals, 2 of the 3 that played some sort of role in last Thursday's shooting in Cleveland's Stockyard neighborhood. We're talking more specifically about West 66th and Barberton. This was an apparent drive-by shooting in which a 3-year-old little boy who was sitting in a car was hit and killed. Luis Diaz, his name. We are expecting the arraignment of Juan Davis Jr., who is 34. He is going to be charged with 1 count of aggravated murder, and then 30-year-old Katherine Treadway facing a charge of murder. Again, it looks like this will be a video arraignment. There were some technical issues early on. That's why we're having this delay as we wait for the judge to come in and commence this. Again, arraignments are usually very, very short. A public defender will get up, more than likely put in a plea of not guilty. The bond will be set, and that will be it. Generally, these last just a minute or 2. So we'll keep a live look on this as we wait for the proceeding to begin.
What I usually do is if someone leaves me a message, I call them back.
All right, so here's what I'm going to give you my cell. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to put my cell on this one. So you have this one. You write yours on the back. Yeah.
Do you want my work number?
I want your work, and if you don't mind giving me your cell. Because sometimes I'll shoot you a quick thing. I don't know. But I don't use it that much unless.
I think we're allowed to talk about cases on our cell phones.
Oh, I have all the time.
Okay.
Okay, I wouldn't embarrass. I mean, I'll say I don't have this police report. Like not like.
Let me think about it, but just
Okay.
email me something.
Okay.
You have my email, right?
I want everything of yours on here, unless you have a business card. I put mine on here. Okay? If that's okay?
Yeah, I might see tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Is it your first initial, your last name? You know, okay. When you go back, maybe I'll leave it. That's okay, that's okay, don't worry about it.
Looking live into the courtroom in the Cuyahoga Court of County Pleas of Common Pleas, waiting for our first look at the 2 of 3 individuals accused in last week's drive-by shooting that took the life of 3-year-old Luis Diaz. Juan Davis Jr. facing a charge of aggravated murder, 30-year-old Katherine Treadway facing a count of murder. Remember, this was just about 2:20 in the afternoon last Thursday, broad daylight. There was seated in the car the mother, the 3-year-old Luis Diaz, and his 11-month-old baby brother was next to him, and that's when the shots were fired in an apparent drive-by. And now facing charges are not only Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway, but there is a 3rd individual still on the run, Devontae Parker. He is an arrest warrant, has an arrest warrant out for him on a charge of aggravated murder. He's also facing murder charges in another case from earlier this year, back in May of 2023. So that's an individual who definitely needs to be off our street and answering to these very serious charges. A little bit of a delay here now, going on about an hour delay. So we'll sit tight here so that we don't miss the arraignment and see what the bond will be set for Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway. Good morning, I'm Dan DeRose. For the rest of you just joining us now on our other digital properties, as you can see, we're waiting for the arraignment of two people who are charged in the death of 3-year-old Luis Diaz, who was shot and killed last week while sitting in his car with his mother and 11-month-old baby brother. This was an apparent drive-by shooting in the Stockyard neighborhood, West 66th and Barberton. The father was standing outside of the car when the drive-by happened. He was hit, was not killed. He survived, but unfortunately some of those bullets went into the car, at least one of them, and it hit the 3-year-old Luis Diaz. He would die, and that brings us to today. We're getting our first look and waiting for our first look of Juan Davis Jr., 34-year-old. He is facing a charge of aggravated murder. And then also Katherine Treadway. She is facing a charge of murder in this case, 30 years of age. There is a third suspect still on the run. An arrest warrant has been issued for Devontae Parker. He is 28 years old, believed to be of Cleveland. He has an arrest warrant out for a charge of aggravated murder in this case, as well as facing yet another charge for a May of 2023 murder. So he is facing now murder charges in 2 cases and is still on the run. That is obviously concerning for many, many reasons. You can see the television screen there. It looks like this will be a video arraignment for Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway. These arraignments go very quickly. That's why we come on a little bit early, because each of these arraignments can take 2 minutes, sometimes even less than that. The court, at one point, the courtroom had to be cleared just before 9 o'clock. This was supposed to start at 8:30. And then at about 9 o'clock, a bailiff came in and said they needed to clear the courtroom. We're still waiting for an explanation on that. Was it a routine sweep, or had they been given information about maybe a safety issue for that courtroom? So we will wait to get information on that. But for now, let's listen in live as we wait for the arraignments of both Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway.
Nobody really knew that Deshaun Watson was that injured. You know, so not having him play meant that the offense couldn't get anything, you know, they couldn't get the defense off the field.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, because they were just saying like, they were just saying it's like a bruise or something.
Things that no one else would have done.
You don't sit out.
The guy has worked 30 years.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go see.
I still think I need discovery.
You ready?
Okay, I'll take a look at that. I mean, okay.
Yeah. Have him on the docket, so.
All rise, please.
And now we have the all rise. This proceeding will officially be underway. Let's take a live look into the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas.
Judge, as soon as we get the room set up, Judge, while we wait for the booth, we can call James Gates. This is the second private counsel on this case. This is the second docket case. Good morning, Counselor. Your name for the record and who you represent, sir.
Myron Watson, good morning. I represent James Gates. Good seeing you.
Judge, this is second docket. It looks like there has been a waiver executed, Mr. Prosecutor. What was the name on the case?
This is an open arraignment, and so as is sometimes the case, you heard the name stated for James Gates. This is not apparently connected to the shooting of the 3-year-old, so we will wait for information. But again, in an open arraignment, there can be people arraigned on several different charges in different cases as we wait for the arraignment of Juan Davis Jr. and Katherine Treadway in their connection to the death of 3-year-old Louise Diaz.
So you're in very capable hands. Please keep in touch with your attorney. $10,000 pound postage will remain. All right. And I'm sure that your attorney will keep an eye on when your indictment comes through for this action.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thanks, Jose.
Yes. That's Mr. Davis in the top left.
And there we get our first look. As you heard, that is Juan Davis Jr. there in court.
The first case we're going to call is 2023 CRA 07719. Juan Davis, charged with aggravated murder. Counsel, your name for the record, sir?
Christopher McNeil.
Judge, I believe you'll have a demand on this case.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Davis, as a result of whatever bond I set, it will not be reviewed by the bond commissioner's office until the grand jury does not. Who would like to speak first?
Thank you, Your Honor. I will start because the preliminary hearing date is the 9th. In this case, Jose Torres, on behalf of the state of Ohio, the state will be asking for a $2 million bond in this case. Juan Davis, aka Eric Davis, allegedly, along with 2 accomplices, drove to the area of West 66 near Barberton Avenue. There was a vehicle with a 22-year-old female with her 3-year-old son, an 11-month-old baby in the vehicle. She was talking to a male standing outside the vehicle. This defendant, allegedly with accomplices, approached and fired approximately 12 rounds in the direction of the vehicle. 4 shots hit the vehicle. The 3-year-old child, Luis, died as a result of the gunshot wound. The victim's family are present. They asked me to mention to the court that their life will not be the same They are distraught, and they agree with the $2 million bond in this case. We have the co-defendant as well. Her name is Katherine Treadway.
Thank you very much. Mr. McNeil.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Davis denies the entirety of the allegations, Your Honor. And while this is a tragic loss of life, the defendant is entitled to the presumption of innocence, Your Honor. I would ask that the court set a reasonable bond, given the circumstances, Your Honor.
Do you know who court case number 23-684676 is with?
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant has an open case. It's an aggravated burglary from Shannon Gallagher. He also is on probation with the county for, I believe, a felonious assault, and he has convictions for aggravated assault, discharging a firearm, and attempted felonious assault.
Because it's noted that he's on CSR and GPS monitoring with the county in the pending case. Oh, and the protected party is his co-defendant, Katherine Treadway. Anything in response to that, Mr. McNeil?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Because Judge Shannon Gallagher has the opportunity to alter this bond if she wishes, since there is a pending case, and he was on court supervised release with a GPS monitor, I am going to grant the prosecutor's request for the $2 million bond and let her change it if she wishes. So the bond will be $2 million. The demand date is October 9th at 8:30, sir. Oh, that's a holiday.
Yes, Your Honor, the 10th.
The 10th. I'm going to make this. Thank you. That's technically Columbus Day, even though it's not really Columbus Day. It's just a Monday holiday. All right, this will be Tuesday, October 10th, Mr. Davis, at 8:30 in the morning in this courtroom, 3D. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. My best to Stephanie.
Thank you.
So that is wrapping up the first portion of what we expect to be a two-part arraignment. If you'll notice, the shot for the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's in the bottom right-hand corner, I believe that would be from the cell for the holding area for the women, for the Women's Department of Corrections. So we should be seeing a Katherine Treadway. She is the co-defendant in this. The judge siding with the state, saying because of the seriousness of this crime, the death of the 3-year-old little boy, went ahead and agreed with a $2 million bond for Juan Davis Jr. We will wait to see if we do, in fact, and we did hear that there were family members in the courtroom and that they were devastated. It appears that's what we're looking at there in all of this, the death of a 3-year-old little innocent boy just sitting in the car. And we are getting the Treadway arraignment.
She has been in jail for 5 days. Good morning, Officer. Your name and your
Good morning, Your Honor. James Lentz on the limited purpose of this arraignment.
Thank you, sir, for being here. I believe we will have a demand for today. Is that correct?
Same day.
Thank you.
October 10th
Yes, ma'am.
at 8:30, Ms. Treadway. And Mr. Lentz, that's L-E-N-T-Z.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, I just set a bond on Mr. Davis. Because he's, number one, scored high, he was on probation to, or has a pending case before Judge Shannon Gallagher. So it is likely that you may get a judge. However, she scored a 2 and a 2. It looks like she has a 2017 misdemeanor out of another state, and she has a 2021 traffic out of Cleveland. Other than that, the fact that she has a 2017 makes her a multi-state offender. But what would you like to say as it relates to the prosecutor's stance on this, Mr. Torres?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state will ask for $500,000 cash surety in this case. This defendant is the victim's neighbor. Allegedly, all this started with an argument between this defendant and the neighbor, and this defendant allegedly got the co-defendant to come to the premise. Again, we'll ask for a $500,000 cash surety bond.
Mr. Lentz.
Your Honor, the client is an extremely low flight risk. She has family here, she has a job here, she's indigent. And we do, at this time, ask that the court appoint counsel for her. There is, as the court knows, only very minor traffic citations. If ever there was a case where a recognizance bond was warranted, this is it.
Unfortunately, sir, the 2017 case out of West Virginia is for obstructing an officer, obstructing official business. I know that the county will appoint counsel at the appropriate time, unless for some reason she is not indicted, but she's going to have the same preliminary hearing date of October 10th at 8:30. Where was she working, sir?
I don't have her work address here. I'm sorry?
Yeah, where are you working?
Home health aide, I'm sorry. And the record can reflect the fact that she did perform CPR on the wounded child.
And I'm assuming she may have family in West Virginia?
She may have family in West Virginia, but she's lived here, Your Honor. She has no means of going to West Virginia.
Until I have more information as it relates to her circumstances, at this point, I will grant the prosecutor's request and set the bond at $500,000. It can be reviewed by cash surety, property 10%.
The new court date for the demand judge will be 10/10/23 at 8:30. Thank you, ma'am. You can step up out of that chair. We'll hear your case today.
And there we get our second defendant there. That was Katherine Treadway. You saw in the beginning, she was wiping away tears. Again, this was the beginning of her arraignment. And we had heard that there were family members in the courtroom. We can presume that is them. Said they were very distraught. What was interesting in that second arraignment is we got some details about exactly what happened that day. Apparently, this was a fight between Treadway, the neighbor, and Treadway, the neighbor, and the woman in the car. And when they were there, they got into an argument, and that's when, according to what was said in court today, Treadway called Juan Davis Jr. over in her protection or in her defense, and that's when Juan Davis started shooting and firing at the car, according to what was said today. But just because you're not the one that pulled the trigger doesn't mean you get to walk away from a crime like this in the state of Ohio. If you are an accomplice, you can also be charged with murder, with the death of that 3-year-old Luis Diaz, just sitting in his car with his mother and his 11-month-old baby brother. And again, what sounds like started out between a fight between neighbors when Treadway called over Juan Davis Jr. to protect her. He did so by firing at the car, and that's what killed 3-year-old Luis Diaz. His bond set at $2 million. Her bond set at $500,000. You heard the prosecutor, or the defense attorney, try to say that she's a very low flight risk. But when the judge found out that her previous case was in West Virginia and that she may have family in West Virginia, the judge didn't like to hear that as far as a possible flight risk. So she set a $500,000 bond for Katherine Treadway. We will have much more on this story as it continues to sort of grip parts of this city, especially where this crime happened. West 66th and Barberton, really the Stockyards neighborhood of Cleveland. If we have any other breaking news, we'll bring it to you here on our digital properties. Our 11 o'clock news coming up on CW43, and then our noon news on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social